All aboard, I'm Kelly Jack, and this is How Not to Game with Kelly Jack. This is our Simutrans game, that's the name of the game, Pak128, which is the DLC content that makes the graphics look so much prettier. So much. I mean, check out them trees. And we did do some, or I did do offline some fixes to our setup here, mainly right in here. You'll notice that it's a different style of catenaries, and that's because I had to change the catenaries because the wooden catenaries I was using along here, when the line went over here, did like 3 zigzags, and now I've got it down to just 2. Actually, it's 4 zigzags, I think, and it's now down to just the 2 zigzags. 3 if you count the one for the bridge, but there's not much I can do about the bridge. Anyway, we've got this all set up, and it's time to start looking at our game. If I sound a little bit off today, and I probably do, I can't remember whether this is episode 41 or 42, sorry. It is because I am fighting a bit of a head cold, so I am kind of stuffed up, waiting. The meds are finally kicking in and freeing up my sinuses a little bit. Don't be surprised if there's a lot of sudden dead airs. We're kind of looking through. I did go through, rename most of the sightings to match what they were for. So like Granny Cole became Granny Cole sightings instead of the Motherwell Granny Cole. So we've got everything set up. Even went out, did Norbend and dry riverbed aggregates, things like that. Got names on them. This episode, we're kind of concentrating on one thing, which is to get some money going. We need to expand our passenger service and make certain we're serving everywhere that's now available for us to serve. Top of that list are the towns and the passengers. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to start serving the areas of growth in the cities with bus service to take and start connecting them up and building them up so that they can go further towards feeding into the main line and thus the others. I also, as you may notice, added off camera the electrical lines. These were ones where basically I was sneezing and sniffling so much I couldn't record at that time this morning. Sorry. And coughing. It was ugly. Is it allergies? No, this is definitely a head cold. Now I am thinking about consolidating this Wells line over to here and bringing it down the correct way. Except for the fact that, of course, Wells goes to there. So we'd have to cut off at the Wells coal mine. There'll also be a lot of stops for me to take a sip because my throat is raw. All right, let's see what we can do. Well, what I can do. I am going to add in some bus stops. In order to do that, the best way I've found is always make certain you've got your colors turned on. And let's do this the right way to change palette. Hopefully that's a tone there. There's a good tone. That gives us a good change in tone pitch, not just color, but in brightness. So you can kind of see where I don't have coverage and do have coverage now. And just a couple of bus stops should solve a lot of our issues here. Road halts, whatever you want to call them. And yes, I am trying to encourage the town to grow in new directions here today. There we go. And then another road like over here. And we'll let the system fill it in. Now we did get a market come into place, a marketplace. Now it is a tourist attraction marketplace, not a served marketplace, an industry one. So, but it's going to draw a lot of people. So we're going to need to make certain we're getting good service to it. It's not being served right now. So I've got to decide kind of how I want to do that. And I'm going to do that through right there. That'll cover all of it. Another stop over here covers most of this area. Now I just got to worry about this area here, and we'll deal with that. Kind of like this. We can always come back and add more stops. The Orthodox stop. I just want to make it a shorter name. Well, I like the longer names. Sometimes there's just too many of them and it takes up too much space on the screen. So that takes care of this community. Now we just need to find our bus term depot for this town, which we had not done. Ooh. So where's our nearest depot? Over here at Lee Power. Let's go ahead and set ourselves up with a bit of a road. We have an issue there with our road. And it won't go across, so we're going to need a bridge. There we go. Do some cleanup here. And then do a power bridge right to there so that we can get our power now over there, which it wasn't doing before. I was wondering why it wasn't generating any juice. Why do we want juice to the electricity to our spots? Quick check, we do get a boost of 80% for adding power to that guy. Just hooking him up got us 40%, even without juice flowing. Now that juice can flow, now that the electrons can get over there, we can get a little bit more. Now, let's see what we can do here. We got ourselves a low crossing there. we go. And that will give us a spot from which to dispatch vehicles. It's out and away from any town. And we're going to buy 2 of those KS33s. Normalize that size for a moment. And it's time to take and do our first bus stop. And there's our first route in Cheltenham. And we'll do another one that's going to be a cross-town runner. Kind of. And we're going to call this the And the schism is that, not that I'm dissing orthodoxy, I'm showing that we do a split between the 2 directions through downtown. There we go. Yep, and both buses are rolling. Once they get to their things, that should start improving our flow out of this town up to borderline fossil fuels for employees, and that'll get us more of a boost, and maybe we can afford to double line the rest of the way across this bridge and expand out our tracks. Looking it over, that was Cheltenham. Next up is going to be Motherwell. And Motherwell is going to be a similar thing. We just need to add some bus stops for the town growth to cover those areas of the town that are now grown out, and we need to take and start serving better. We're also going to put one right up here. Oh, there was already one there. Perfect. All right. Switched in. Let's grab up another bus and we'll get this guy going. And I think I'm going to upgrade the Praga that's in town too while I'm at it. So go ahead and copy him. First thing we'll do is the Motherwell buggy is getting updated. We'll go to that line as well and tell that Praga to go ahead and retire. Our new line will be a longer one. So it's going to serve more than just a couple of stops. And we'll see how that helps. Blackpool stayed pretty good. We had already increased service here at Wells. So that leaves Leicester, who's still fairly well served, but we could take and get a few more of the homes and places serviced with just a couple of well-placed stops, couldn't we? Let's do that. Let's get ourselves a slight improvement in services all the way around as best we can. And this one, it's no diss to them, but this is before the church was there. There was something else there, which is the old Three Forks garage. Okay, now we just need to service everything out of that garage. Again, we're just going to grab a KS33 bus. And make a couple of buses that do some weird little things. Leicester's getting Leicester. Orient for east. And over here, we're just going to kind of open up our setup a tiny little bit. Like that. And the cloister is a nunnery, so that's why we're doing it that way. Cloister is the polite term. Nunnery is the less than polite term. In other words, yes, Hamlet was being insulting. Well, let's look at Aberdeen. Aberdeen could also use some bus service. And we can get it in pretty quick. There we go. And that now covers the bulk of the town. Matter of fact, all of the town. So we just need a road out 4 ways towards other issues. And in this case, we're going to utilize that road to also get people from Aberdeen over to this coal mine. Forgot the garage. Oh, wasn't at the end. All right. So in town, I'm just going to run a KS33. That's pretty much just a loop that we're doing. And then I'm going to grab something a little faster, but not massively faster. What's a twin? Oh, twin's not that bad. We're going to do the twin. And better put a bus halt there so that it does function as one. Now we can get people to mine rock, a fire rock. Let's see. And I think we'll call it there. Don't know how many episodes I'll get in today. It depends upon my voice, my sinuses, and my energy levels. But we'll see what we can do. I'm Callie Jack. Have a better day than I'm having.